Thanks a lot. So let's get some reactions now to what's unfolding in Rivers State now. We thank you very much for joining us again on TVC Breakfast. And earlier, before we took that break, we brought you a report to show you how things stand now in Rivers State, especially with the demolition by the state government of the House of Assembly complex. We have joining us in this leg of discussion a former member, House of Representatives, who is also a political analyst, Honorable Jide Jimo, who joins us here in Lagos. It's good to have you join us. Thank you for coming. And, of course, public affairs analyst Oladende Ario. We thank you for also coming on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Joining us from Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, where we will be kicking off this discussion, is the Commissioner for Information in Rivers State, Joseph Johnson. Thanks a lot for joining us on TVC Breakfast this morning. And as I said earlier on, we're starting off with you, especially with the outcry that has more or less greeted the state government's demolition of the House of Assembly complex in Port Harcourt. Tell us more about how the government reached this decision to demolish a landmark edifice as the House of Assembly complex. That's what people have called it. How did you reach this decision to bring it down? Can you hear me, Mr. Johnson?
I'm hearing you, yeah.
Carry on, please. Did you get the question? Please, let's have your reaction.
Yes, I did. Yeah, good morning, Nigerians and the presenter. Just to say that as a follow-up to the press release which was circulated yesterday to all the journalists who were in Port Harcourt, to say that that structure was demolished was the best thing that happened, because the principal responsibility of every government is to protect lives and property. And when the decision as to demolishing that structure to keep the legislators safe was made, I think that is something that should be very salutary. We were on the 30th of October at the complex, arising from the incident that happened the previous night. And the governor was there. That outing was well televised. Everybody who watched the event would be able to write the story. But as we finished, the governor charged the Nigerian police to try and ensure that the perpetrators of that dastardly act must be brought to book. And also mentioned that that structure will be renovated depending on the advice of the professionals who would look at it. On the strength of that, His Excellency Sir Siminala Ifubara commissioned a consulting firm, structural engineers, and they went into the structure and then came with a well-written professional report. And the climax of it was that it was advised by this team that that project, that structure was no longer able to stand integrity tests. The reason being that the impact of the incident that took place the previous day was so heavy that it affected the beams and the substructures that are supposed to be holding the building. And then after which His Excellency got an order from the Rivers State High Court, actually order one, affirmed to the fact that that structure was no longer good and that His Excellency should provide an alternative sitting place for lawmakers to thrive. And then on the strength of that, we commenced the demolition yesterday.
All right. Mr. Johnson, let me ask you further before we come back to the studio for some more reactions. The bombed complex of the House of Assembly is more or less, according to observers, a crime scene. And you've spoken about advice from building experts, saying that it had to come down. But what about advice? And you've also spoken about your mandate, your government's mandate to the police to unearth the perpetrators of the bomb issue, the bombing incident of the House of Assembly. So we can call that place that was demolished by your government a crime scene. Don't you feel that, material pieces of evidence would also have been destroyed with your actions?
Well, the story is very straight. If there was anything the police had done that is to the public knowledge, then it would show that police truly swung into action according to the directive of His Excellency. Imagine an incident that took place on the 30th, and as we speak, before yesterday's event, people were still staffers of the House of Assembly, and all other concerned citizens were still going there to transact. And any reasonable government that gets an order of the court to declare that a place was uninhabitable should be able to swing into action. I would not expect that anybody would sit down and wait, whereas there had been, front and back movement of court processes. This one laying claims to leadership of the House, and the other one also laying claims. And you allow people to continue to go there. It will be better than that this structure goes than we lose one soul.
Okay, let's put you on hold and hear from our analyst in the studio. Honorable Jide Jimo is here with us. We also have Oladende Ario. I'd like to begin with Honorable Jimo. What are your thoughts? You've listened to the commissioner speaking there about the rationale, but, the question was asked that, crucial pieces of evidence may have been destroyed from what we see as a crime scene. But then the commissioner is saying that there was a seeming inaction, so to speak, by the police authorities. What are your thoughts on what's happened yesterday?
Thank you very much. I give thanks to Almighty God. And I will say that what is happening in the Rivers State is rather too unfortunate. And democracy, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with it. We, the actors, are the problem of this democracy. The way we act. How on earth we will have sat down and demolished. Something might have cropped up. Something might have led to that. What is happening in Rivers State now is nothing but political gymnastics. In the sense that I want to belong, I want to be this, I want to be that. And that's a complete betrayal of trust. Betrayal of trust in the sense that people have elected you. Electorate has elected you. You ought to have respected them rather than do anything you like. You can't just stay and say, okay, I belong to party A, so therefore I want to go to a party B. As at the time you have been elected, your name, Jide Jima, your party, is written on the certificate of return. And on earth will have taken that position to another party without due consultation with the electorate. That's number one. Number two, as the governor, you have no rights at all to take over the power of another arm of government. Legislature is an institution on its own. In the Constitution is number one institution when it comes to democracy. Section 4 is very clear. Before you can go to Section 5 of the Constitution that talks about executive. After that, you go to Section 6 that talks about judiciary. What is on the ground is nothing but stupidity I'm sorry to use that language.
It's good you're
No, I'm sorry to
apologize,
use that language because whatever thing that is happening now, that's taxpayers' money. Taxpayers' money to the extent of demolishing completely structure of the whole arm of government. I don't think it's...
but the government has said, the state government has said, pending renovation, they have
that's
provided...
not renovation.
All right.
That's not... The word renovation is absurd.
I'm quoting the words... I'm quoting the words of the state government.
Yes.
The government, as I was saying, has now provided a temporary place for them to conduct legislative business.
Yes.
How about that?
What I'm saying is that that's not even renovation. From the language he has used, I condemn that in totality. That was, this can't regard that as a renovation. That's construction. The entire setting, the entire structure is being demolished. Now you are going to reconstruct again from the scratch, taking the soil test and every other laboratory test before you can build. You know how much that we could going to be committed when we are talking of another thing entirely in the economic system of Nigeria today. That's a waste of resources, waste of complete resources of Rivers State.
Honorable Jimo, let me put you on hold as well, and let's get initial reactions from Mr. Rio here. The government has also spoken about, building concerns and all of that, prompted their action. But how does this meet you?
Less than a week ago, here I cite, and I told you, or your colleagues, sorry, that we do not have political parties in Nigeria. That what we have are vote-catching machineries, organizations. I also declare that nothing is wrong with democracy, but Nigerian version of democracy lacks the two planks, accountability and transparency. I also told you that for us in Nigeria, election is all about, democracy is all about election and power sharing. Anything outside of that, you don't find it here. Now, the spirit of Mansa Musa is in all of these characters. If you read history, the way I did, Mansa Musa was conquering nations, tribes, and all of that. And we had to study that careless and reckless human being. At the end of the day, those who are less than 40, go and ask them if they know him. So this should teach these ones a lesson that the way they are going, history will forget them. They will be irrelevant. They wouldn't be mentioned again. Otherwise, I cannot understand how the voters are benefiting from all of this crisis. If government is meant to be about the people, we call it government of the people, for the people, by the people, how are they benefiting from the crisis? Let me tell you, it's going to cost some billions of naira to rebuild that demolished complex. That money could have gone to meet other demands of the Rivers people. And you want to ask yourself, why do people think they can be deified and become impossible and become emperors? You want to, because at the end of the day, just one day, the person will sleep and not wake up again. And it will be history. We've seen people here, they've been governors, ministers, this and that, and before you know, they are gone, they are dead. And life goes on. I don't understand why, what is it in them? Like I said, maybe we call one church to go and do deliverance for them. And they have to stop it. It's not right. It pains me, assuming I'm the chief medical director of Rivers State, and I'm sitting on the state hospital, right? Will they come and demolish the hospital without telling me? But all of this happened because the crises were generated from somewhere. Unfortunately, those who are called leaders of thought in Rivers State, they kept quiet. They don't have to be in the political parties. No, they could be religious leaders, traditional rulers, or opinion leaders. They should have been able to step in before things got to where they are. Because now, how can that be a state like Rivers? Rivers State is one of the most important states in Nigeria, if you must know. They no longer have a House of Assembly. That they're going to improvise for them. It should have been an agreement between the speaker and the governor. Unfortunately, can we say they have a speaker? No.
Well, the court has labeled one person
Eh,
as
well,
the speaker.
you know how these things go now. Rivers State had 32 members. One of them died. 27 changed party. I told you that there's no ideology. Today you are in Labour, tomorrow you are in APC. The difference between all the parties is just in the names, nothing else. So I find it very tough to swallow that the governor will present the budget of the state before a motley crowd of 4 members of the House. If it was that important or that urgent, why didn't he organize a peace move first? Like I said earlier, how are the people of Rivers enjoying democracy dividends for voting? Are they getting the best? And yesterday, it was like a shock for me, like the house belonged to my father. I was like, demolished. I mean, that building couldn't have been totally defective, as they said. There could still be, how many floors are we talking about? There could have been room for mild renovation that will bring the building back to what it should be. But because the man needed to deal with the decampees, that building had to go. This is not democracy at all. At all.
Right.
I mean, even Hitler was not this wild.
Okay, gentlemen, we've all had our initial takes. We'll take a break and then resume with more on this conversation regarding the development in Rivers State. Please stay with us. You're watching TVC Breakfast. Thank you for staying with us. We've been speaking about the crisis concerning many stakeholders at home and abroad in Rivers State. First defection of a majority members of the House of Assembly. The government, brought in some form of intervention, and the latest being the demolition of the House of Assembly complex that was bombed a few weeks ago. The government has also gone on to present an 809 plus billion naira budget document to the House of Assembly, of course, of which the members are only about 4 of them. We've been speaking with the Commissioner of Information in Rivers State, Mr. Joseph Johnson, and here in the studio, Honorable Jide Jimo, as well as Oladende Ario, have also been, reacting, giving their take on the matter at hand. Well, back to Port Harcourt now, where Mr. Johnson is standing by, and I also want you, Mr. Johnson, to react to some of the concerns that our analysts here have expressed. First, that regarding the bombing incident, it's a substantial chunk of lawmakers, of course, those are now suspended, the 27 that is are now suspended, but many of them believe that the government had a hand in the bombing incident, and now the government has now gone on with this move to demolish this edifice. The government has also gone on to present a budget. There's concern now about what's the weight of this presentation of budget to just 4 members of the House of Assembly. What peace moves did the state government also do to ensure more like a validity of this, very important exercise of presentation of a budget for the coming year?
I'm sure you are aware that there is a judgment, a ruling of a court by Honorable Justice Danagugu that recognized Edisine here as the authentic speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. And on the strength of that, there were other orders. So if...
Allow me, sir, to interrupt. Just before you go on, allow me to interrupt. Let me just add for more clarity again that the the ruling actually was an interim order. There's going to be a hearing this time around of both parties, of both sides, due on Friday. So we can say that that ruling is not final. Carry on, please.
An order is an order. An order of a court, whether it's for 1 hour or for 1 week, is an order of the court. If the court orders you to take an action or take possession, you are bound by that law. So I do not want to think that validity or no validity should be brought into this discussion. A court of competent jurisdiction had directed that so and so persons do this. It is bound on us to obey it. For democracy to thrive, there must be rule of law.
All right. So carry on, please. Or are you done with that point? Because there's also the issue of did the government also explore any moves now to reach out, so to speak, to the aggrieved lawmakers? And then there's also the issue of this pending investigation. Are we saying that this arson, so to speak, this case of suspected arson on the House of Assembly complex is an unresolved mystery?
Well, the police should be able to tell us what has happened. The police had been charged to unravel the mystery behind the burning of the assembly. So one would expect that the police should have long swung into action. And if they have not done that, we cannot sit down as a responsible government, watch people transact business in that place at the detriment of their lives. So what we acted was being proactive so that we will be able to avert any impending danger. I had talked with a sister station yesterday, and I said to them I was in Abuja when this day office that is opposite Jabi Park was attacked. My office was close to 200 meters. The impact of it affected my structure. And up till now, that structure, I hear that even when trains are passing, that the building vibrates. It's quite risky. And all the surrounding structures around it have been badly impacted.
Mr. Johnson, okay, we'll come back to you, but then let me also hear from, our guest here in the studio. Okay, so, that's on one hand, the action of the government, but then let's also look at, other major happenings that unfolded yesterday. Honorable Jimo, 4 members of the House of Assembly, 27 of them are suspended on the grounds that they defected, and other allegations, set to accrue against them. But, in terms of the validity of the actions of these lawmakers in defecting, and now that they risk, being they recalled now, or even not being lawmakers again, because there's a petition that the House says is going to send to INEC on the orders of the ruling of the PDP. What are your thoughts now about these actions count on both sides?
Well, at the beginning, I did say that what is happening is political gymnastic. And I will still come back again to refer it to as political acrobatic. Why have I said this? Simply because we have rule of law. We must obey the rule of law. Those that have decamped, they have not followed the due process.
Okay, but they say there was a division in the party where they belonged to before, which the Constitution allows for, before you can defect.
The Constitution is very clear about that. Okay. There's no ambiguity.
Okay, explain that point to us.
Because Section 1092 of the Constitution is very clear. It is only when you have division in your party. Party this time around is the national level. PDP, they have their own problem. They have their own crisis. Whether they have 2 factions or 3 factions, nobody can establish that. But the fact still remains that if you have been elected, I want to refer myself as Judejo. If you Google it now, what you will see is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, All Progressive Congress, elected president. That's what we see in the certificate of return. If you have been given certificate of return for a political party, you are representing that party, and you have been elected by the generality of the people. If you want to decamp, you have to go back to them to inform them, I will no longer be part of this party. And I will go back to my council to tell them I want to leave my political party and cross another. When you do that, what is important for you is to leave that government. You have no right to be there again. That's number one. Number two, he has referred us to the ruling of the court. You now pointed it at him that the ruling is an interim injunction. Whether it is interim or no interim, it has become a ruling.
It's still a court.
Because Section 287 of the Constitution is very clear. Where there's any ruling from any court in Nigeria, you are bound to obey it as an individual or as an authority. That's another thing again. By the time you want to now present budget can be presented at any time. The governor or the president might send it down, or it might go there. But consideration is the most important thing. Budget presentation does not mean anything at all. If you had gone there to present budget to 4 or 5 people, is it 5 people that will consider it? No. Because before you can consider budget, you must have 1/3 of the house. 1/3 of the house of Rivers State is not less than 11. So are they up to 11? You can only present. That's going to be an exercise in futility. Simplicity, I have addressed that. So what is happening in Rivers State, the only antidote you can use to address the issue is peace. He has alluded to that. Without peace, that river cannot stand. And that's the problem. They have to go back to drawing board and reschedule their plan, all of them, all the actors.
Okay, still with you, Honorable Jimo, Section 102 of the Constitution.
109.
Yes, 109 has to do with,
Yes.
the power of INEC, or which the House,
Yes.
the 4-member House as it stands now, says they are going to inform INEC now of the vacancies in the Rivers House of Assembly.
How will they do that? Are they up to 1/3? Do they have the quorum to do that?
Okay, so
where was the sitting taking place? You have to have the sitting. It has to be recorded. There must be answered. There must be gathered. There must every apparatus of institution before you can pronounce that.
And all these are missing.
All these are
even
missing.
In the temporary,
of course,
within the government house.
That's the major problem they have now. They are not up to 1/3 of the house.
The House is also saying, the Honorable Ehie-led House is also saying that as far as they are concerned, under Section 102 of the Constitution, there is no vacancy. Or rather, the fact that some seats are vacant or the participation of strangers may not vitiate the House proceedings. It's saying that even though they may not be the full House as we expect,
yes,
but it still does not invalidate the proceedings that they are doing.
That is if they are up to 1/3 of the House itself. The 1/3 of 32 can never be less than 11. So what we are having now is 4 or 5. They are less than 1/3. Let's give them the 5. They are less than 1/3. The 1/3 of 32 is going to be 11 by mathematics or arithmetic. So if they are not up to 1/3, they can't go on with any decision. It is only when they require 2/3 and they have it, they can impeach. So if you are not even up to 1/3, how can you do anything? It's going to be an exercise in futility. They are all at fault, all actors, no exception.
Okay. What do you also think? To what extent do you agree with, the former legislature's positions here?
You saw the video recording of the so-called sitting. I may not have been, or rather, I have never been in the House, or I'm not even a politician in that class, but I know what and what must prevail before a valid decision can be taken, which also validates the sitting as well. I said it earlier on that all of these things they are doing is all about me, myself, and I. None of this is in the interest of the Riverians. Neither are they going to benefit from it. I take it back to the elders in Rivers State. They ought to have stepped into all of this before he got here. Let me tell you, the amount of money that will be expended in building another house of assembly will have gone a long way to do something else. Now, who will prepare the normal thing is that the speaker should have written the governor to report that, look, this property is defective, and the way it's going, it may come down on all of us. It should have been the one to report. And as the policeman said, which they don't want to admit, they have destroyed evidence Because they have to investigate the bombing.
That is it.
They have to identify splinters, maybe of bombs, of metal, or whatever. All those have been, understand this thing. It's beyond what we are seeing. We must think deeper and be able to appreciate. Now the building has been brought down. How do they investigate? How do they isolate the facts of the bombing, whereby it can lead them to identifying those who did the bombing? You understand? And that's why let them start quoting law. Thank God that he has a knowledge of the law. I didn't know you were a lawyer too. I don't know law. But from what I've seen, like he said, every one of them, they are wrong.
Yes.
And the earlier they can stop the Mansa Musa spirit in them, the conqueror spirit, the better for the state. Okay? If nobody will do this, may I also beg our president to intervene? Yes, because it's happening right under his nose. And he may not be fully aware, but the people working with him might have. And then number two, we keep dragging judiciary into mess. This is very messy. You know, during the election, we were like, okay, if we will now vote and a court or panel of 7 people will throw away our votes and impose somebody as the winner and say, why are we voting? Let's go readjust our election so that we remove voting from it. Now, the court is now the one determining who is who. I mean, come on. That's not the essence of democracy. Participatory democracy is what we are expecting, where everybody will be involved.
But the courts will tell you that they've always been minding their business. It's people that are bringing to me. They can't throw out a case without hearing the case on the merits.
I'm not reading law anyway.
All right, Mr. Ario, let's get back to Mr. Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, Commissioner for Information in Rivers State. Thank you very much for hanging on. You've heard the gentleman here in the studio, and first is the issue of the financial implications of this action that the government has done, the implications of what the government has done. You presented just yesterday an 809 billion naira budget, and of course, what happened now will, of course, not have any place in the budget. So what happens now? Of course, to build a befitting edifice now, as your government has stated, now it's going to, cost Rivers people a substantial chunk of money. And you've spoken about your challenges, the mandates that your government has to give life to this document for the coming year. What happens? How do you want to, explain, spending money on building another complex?
Well, that should be the next phase. Governance is something that you need to stop. I want to believe strongly that before the governor decided to take the step he took, even though it was something that was spontaneous based on the legal backing that we got from the courts, I want to think that there will be a way he will wrap it around his head.
All right. And then what about the other matter of the presentation of the budget to 4 or 5 honorable members of the House of Assembly? As Honorable Jimo here has explained, is one thing to present, is another thing to consider. And the Constitution has absolutely, the Constitution is clear on, the Constitution of an assembly at the legislature, so to speak. Are you not concerned? Is your government not concerned that this issue, may be tested, the validity of the government's actions and the believability, so to speak, of, all the intents of the document may also be watered down by your actions?
The law, I hear that any law you fail to obey cannot protect you. Mr. Jimo, who spoke, forgot the section of the Constitution that says when a lawmaker, a House of Assembly member, defects from his political party to another, when there is no crisis, that the person loses his seat. my interpretation to it would mean, and by what the speaker had said yesterday, that those seats have been declared vacant because they have, on their own volition, gone to another party and declared membership of that party. On the strength of that, you can no longer be saying 31 members of the House. You have 4 or 5 members of the House, even though 2 had recanted. 2 members had returned. The others have stuck to their position. You cannot approbate and reprobate. You cannot disobey the law. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria expressly stated that if you decamp, if you move, you can no longer occupy that seat. And when he talked about parties that you win an election by an individual, no, it is the political parties that win elections. It is the political parties that win elections. They say PDP. The candidate, the political party is the vehicle that takes you to wherever. That's why we do not have independent candidates. So when you're saying the House was not complete or it's not 31, don't lose fact of this. Don't lose sight of the fact that there is also already a breach, and that breach will militate against those who were not part. If they were still together, if they were still as they were last Friday, all members of PDP and all that, nobody will be talking about vacating seats. But if you say you have moved to the public glare from PDP to APC, you want to move with the seat, do you transfer votes? I'm going to leave certain things with your correspondents that are here. One, to say that even the previous government, the governor, our dear Excellency, the current FCT minister, acknowledged the fact that that structure was not good. I will give you his audio and is a visual, the audio visual, so that your team will take it back to you, and also to listen to what transpired in yesterday's proceedings at the House. So I don't want us to, cherry pick with the one we want, quote the law, and then look the other way on as it affects the other side.
All right, Mr. Johnson, still with you. The reactions, have, been more of like a flurry now. So many reactions from home and, observers all over. Well, the Martin Amewule faction, so to speak, have also reacted to this move, the demolition exercise carried out by the government. They have called it an action by the government to forestall impeachment moves against him. They've also accused the governor of trying to cow the legislature in recent times by stopping funds to the House, as well as having a hand in the bombing incident of the House of Assembly, which, as we can now see, concerns mounting. We don't know how far that will go, because the governor has been called an interested party and has also gone on to do what he did by demolishing the complex. How do you react to these allegations?
That allegation is bogus, and people at everybody is at his will to make allegations. The basic thing is that when you allege, you also prove. If you say the governor was responsible for the bombing, how? The police should be able to tell us, not a lawmaker to tell us who. The police should be able to tell us that this is our findings. But to sit back and say, oh, you are trying to guard the legislature, it's out of it, way out of it. I want to appeal to them to begin to be conversational in what they are doing. Rivers State belongs to all of us. Nobody is more Rivers than the other. The governor has a fiduciary responsibility. There's something trusted in his hands, which we expect. Jonathan, former President Jonathan, said that his ambition is not worth the life of anybody, the blood of any Nigerian. So the governor cannot also sit down. You can imagine the structures before us. If the governor sits down and then you have human beings under the debris, where do we take it to? It is the governor that will be blamed.
Johnson. Okay, Mr. Johnson, yes, and I was coming to you, Honorable Jimo. I also wanted to clarify what he said about who declares seats vacant.
Let me just correct one
first, okay?
The impression he has is very erroneous.
Which part?
Which is, since they have declared the seat of 27 vacant, they now have 5, and 5 can go ahead. No. The Constitution says that the House of Assembly of Rivers State consists of 32 members. That is the House. That is the House. Whether 27 have left or they are still there, the House of Rivers State is 32. That's one thing. And the 2/3 of that House.
And if anything happens in the course of it, it still remains a House.
House is 11.
Okay.
That is the Constitution.
All right. You both have had your say. Mr. Johnson, we can hear you. Honorable Jimo, we can hear you too.
No, on the issue of the camping, I want to say it to him that if somebody, I have already said it here, I condemn it in totality.
No, but do you even
elected by another party and you decamp?
Yes, and
no, it's not the best system.
Verified that you said so. You said so twice.
The Supreme Court has ruled on that.
But are you now saying, are you also agreeing that these seats are vacant? Have they become vacant just because they defected? Or is it not supposed to be for INEC?
It's not me.
Is it not for INEC to determine, to give us that say that the seats have been
I can only
vacant?
express an opinion.
Okay.
I cannot give right final. I cannot give ruling. It is only the court of law that can pronounce that. No other person, no other authority.
Okay, all right. We will end, on that note. But I want your final take, Mr. Ario.
Unfortunately, I am sick and tired of these brickbats. I can empathize with Mr. Johnson. He has a job to do. From that perspective,
he has to do it.
I can let it flow. Okay. But the reality is that for as long as they are throwing barbs and bombs left and right, the people of Rivers State are being denied the qualitative governance that they voted for.
All right.
So earlier, all of them can share their swords and allow peace to reign so that sanity can be restored to Rivers State, the best for all of us. Otherwise, other states will start copying them.
We've run out of time, Mr. Ario. We thank you very much for that much that you have said. Oladende Ario, Honorable Jide Jimo, and from Port Harcourt, Mr. Joseph Johnson. Thank you very much for.
But let me just.
We've run out of time. Thankfully, our correspondents are with you, and we hope you will engage them. We hope you will engage our correspondents with you. It's not my decision, but we have to really run out of time.
Let me just end on one note to say that His Excellency, the governor, had been preaching peace. He's a very peaceful person, and his intention is to bring every party to the table. And I'm sure that is it. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. And that's how we wrap up the show this Thursday edition. But we must warn that all the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection at all with TVC News. From all of us here, thank you very much for joining us and hope to see you again tomorrow. Up next is Your View with the ladies. Bye now.